it may be all for naught. We'll see if it ends up getting one of.
I'd like to welcome everybody to a meeting of the Ontario City Council. In accordance with the Governor's declarations of emergency, this meeting is being conducted by teleconference to limit in-person attendance. This meeting is being live broadcast on local cable channel 3 as well as internet live stream on our city website. We appreciate your understanding during this unprecedented time of social distancing under the Governor's emergency orders. All documents for public review are on file with the Records Management City Clerk's Department. Anyone wishing to provide public comment or to address the council has been provided alternative means to do so, including the U.S. mail, email, a website comment form, as well as the ability to call in live during appropriate times of the meeting. All public comments received by the established deadline for this meeting will be included as part of the official meeting record. In accordance with state law, remarks during public comment are to be limited to subjects within Council's jurisdiction, and remarks on other agenda items will be limited to those items. So our first order of business, Madam City Clerk, is a roll call.
Thank you, Mayor Leon. As I read your names, would each of you please indicate that you are here or present? Mayor Leon?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
I think her mic is off. Your microphone on, Deb.
Here, thank you.
Councilmember Wapner?
I'm here.
Councilmember Bowman?
Here.
Councilmember Valencia?
Here.
All council members are present and participating in this meeting by Zoom.
Thank you. So now for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Mayor Pro Tem, Deborah Parada.
Please join me in the pledge to the greatest nation on earth. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. In lieu of our invocation and in recognition of the challenges that we're facing within our community and the nation, especially some of the things that have taken place in the past few days, I ask that we take a brief moment of silence and reflection, and I solicit your prayers for the, sorry, the video went off on my camera. I also solicit your prayers for the Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies that were ambushed the other day, for them, for their families, and for all of us really, that this type of activity ceases to exist in our nation and in our community. So let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you all very much. So that takes us into public comments, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do not have any written comments. We have one emailed comment from Paul Rule with the Airport Land Use Commission regarding development review. And we have 4 callers who are currently on hold to speak. We will connect each caller in succession, who will be given 3 minutes to address the council. If any caller requires a translator, we have staff on standby to accommodate. We will now hear from the first caller.
Yes, Mayor, our first caller is Irene Chisholm. Go ahead, Irene. You're live at the meeting.
Hi, Mayor and City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Irene, before your time starts, if you would give me just a moment to remind everybody that as you call in, you need to turn off your TV or computer, or at least the sound, because there is a minimal delay and it will confuse you. So you need to speak to us without watching or listening, or certainly without listening to those other avenues. So go ahead and we'll start your time over, Irene.
Thank you. My comments tonight is with regards to the retiring staff at the City of Ontario. I'd like to say a few words about a couple of staff members that I found out that they're leaving. Kevin Shear was one of them, who has helped me out immensely in trying to maneuver around items within our community. Cecilia Huggins, who was Ontario Night Out, and she is definitely going to be missed. Nancy Morales, who took our notes for the library board. Nancy is going to definitely be missed, and I know she probably won't miss all the changes that I made her do for the minutes, but Nancy will be missed. Joe D'Souza, who I just heard was retiring. We babbled, and we still communicated, and I appreciate the work he did. Chief Williams, who I just heard was retiring. He will be missed. I had started conversation with him, and we'll miss him and his impact on the police department in Ontario. Also, I don't want to forget Al Bowling, who is key. And is he there? I don't see him pictured, but Al was essential person, a connection between our community and the city. And he will be missed. And I appreciate Deborah Parada connecting me with Al
1 minute
so that he
remaining.
could help me. So I want to thank all of them, and I truly missed. I hope from one of these people told me that there are people that are left that you can rely on, and so my hope is still there, that I will find people in the city that I can connect with as well for our community. Thank you. See Al.
All right, thank you. We have our next speaker then, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Mayor, our next caller is Brian Rissinger from Vector Control with an update. Go ahead, Brian, you're live at the meeting.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you for having us. We wanted to give our cities just a quick update as to what's happening with mosquitoes and vector control. Thankfully, this year we have had very few mosquito samples come back from the field positive for West Nile virus. We've had only 10 samples so far, and they've all been sort of in a cluster in Chino. We are seeing, because of the hot weather, the warm nighttime temperatures, and the increased humidity, that these are all very conducive factors for all of our mosquitoes to thrive, unfortunately, this year. So since we're having low mosquitoes this year, why are we still all getting bit like crazy? And the answer to that is we have a new mosquito in our area that is the Aedes mosquitoes, the Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti. These are small, black and white, non-native mosquitoes that have established themselves throughout Southern California and parts of Northern California. They are a commensal insect. They rely on people for almost everything, the blood meal, all the way to shelter, to places where they can lay their eggs. They love all the man-made things. And they are extremely aggressive biters. So overall, our surveillance traps are showing very low numbers of these mosquitoes, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 mosquitoes per trap in a neighborhood. But they're so aggressive and they bite so readily that even if you have just a few mosquitoes in your yard, you're going to end up with numerous bites on your legs.
1 minute remaining.
So personal protection is paramount this year. We really encourage folks to use mosquito repellents with DEET, picaridin, or oil of lemon eucalyptus. Dump any standing water, even something as small as a bottle cap can breed these mosquitoes. And call us at 909-635-0307 if you need help. We'll start with an inspection. Our trained technicians will come out and inspect the yards, and we'll go from there. You can also visit us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we update weekly as to what's going on with mosquitoes in our area. Thank you very much.
So, Brian, did you say those new mosquitoes were called Aedes mosquitoes?
That's correct. Yeah, not 80s like
big hair. But, so we won't identify them by big hair, mullets, and women with shoulder pads.
No, Walkmans or what do they call those things? Leg warmers. But yeah, it's
the AEDS, right? Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah,
unfortunately, making a joke there. But thank you for informing us. And those Aedes also, they bite a lot. They don't bite once, they bite more than once, right? A normal mosquito will bite once.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing so many bites. So one will get you numerous times, unfortunately.
All right. Well, thank you for updating us, Brian. Our next speaker, Madam.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Our next caller, Mayor, is DeAndre Lampkin. Go ahead, DeAndre. You're live at the meeting.
She wants me to go away already. Good evening, members of council. I just want to present myself for possibly one last time as the co-chair of the Ontario Complete Count Committee. As you guys are already aware, in early December of 2019, the Lampkin Foundation and Tom Burciaga were approached to see if we were interested in leading the Census Complete Count Committee for the City of Ontario. We were identified along with other members of our community as trusted leaders and took on the project willingly. Our mission was to reach out and bring awareness to the need for residents to participate in the U.S. Census and to let them know how important the federal funding that we will receive as a result of that response is to the City of Ontario. And we are also responsible for making sure that we inform residents of the various ways that federal funding is spent. In 2010, our census self-response rate was at 65%. And I am proud to announce that we have surpassed that self-response rate, and we had a goal to reach 70%. As of this hour, we are currently at 69.7%. So we're 0.3% away from reaching our goal. If you guys were not aware, the deadline for the census self-response was moved from October 31st to September 30th. So as a result, the Ontario Complete Count Committee met for one last time today. We discussed the fact that as of this moment, not only have we surpassed the census self-response rate, but we were able to successfully get the count of our homeless population along the 10 freeway. There are two more areas that we're currently still working on. As a last-ditch effort, myself, along with other members of the Complete Count Committee, do plan on doing a couple of walks of the communities where people are simply still not responding. But what we will also be doing in the coming weeks is we'll be taking stock of what we're able to accomplish, where we could improve for hopefully 2030, and where we could have made a greater impact. In light of the fact that COVID-19 has made it nearly impossible to hold a public award and recognition ceremony with the city, the foundation will be doing something separately for the members of the committee, and I would like to take this time to acknowledge them. I mentioned Tom Burciaga, who is the committee co-chair. We had Janet Dupree from the Ontario Montclair School District. We have Sean Thrasher from the Ontario Library, who is the Ontario Library Director. Alexis Herrera, who is one of the volunteers and hosted the census kickoff event. Karen Thompson, who's a Associate City Planning Director. Richard Ayala, who is a Senior City Planning City Planner. And then we also have Dan Bell, who is the City of Ontario Communications Director. I want to thank them for everything that they had done to make sure this committee was successful. They should be very proud of what they were able to accomplish in the midst of COVID, civil unrest, and also rapidly evolving trust when it comes to the census count process. So I just want to make sure I say thank you, and also thank you for the city's support to ensuring that we have the resources we needed to get to where we are today. And lastly, I want to join Irene Chisholm on congratulating those individuals who are scheduled to retire, who also assisted with the Complete Count Committee. Assistant City Manager Al Bowling. I mentioned Richard Ayala. We will dearly miss Cecilia Huggins and Chief Derek Williams and Julie Bajork, all of which have just demonstrated what it means to truly interact with the community in a way where we're all working together towards making sure the City of Ontario progresses positively. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all of those kind words, DeAndre. So, Madam City Clerk, do you have any more? I think there's one more speaker.
Yes, our final speaker is Luis Suarez. Go ahead, Luis. You're live at the meeting.
Good evening, Mayor Leon and City Council. My name is Luis Suarez, a 20-year resident of the City of Ontario. I also work as a policy coordinator overseeing the local and state implementation of policies that protect immigrant rights. But today I'm here under my personal capacity. On July 4th, I was given an administrative citation for the use of fireworks by the Ontario Police Department. I am here to respectfully request that your intervention to follow up on my citation appeal and to look into the process into which citations are issued. On the night of July 4th, my friends and I had a smoke together in my apartment. Approximately at 11 p.m., we heard fireworks being used within our apartment complex and decided to be spectators. My friends and I stepped out of the apartment to about 15 feet away from our entrance door and began to watch fireworks. There was a group of neighbors and family members that were also spectating. It was then when the Ontario Police Department approached the apartment complex and everyone in the site ran. My friends and I walked into our apartments and we did not think we were in violation of any city code since we were only spectating from a distance. The officer then followed me to my apartment and gave me a citation since the fireworks were quote-unquote in my property or on my property. The citation is invalid for the reasons outlined in my appeal that I submitted to the fire department. One, I was not the person who possessed or had control over the fireworks. I know you also amended in October 2015 the municipal code to include holding residential property owners responsible. I was held responsible for these fireworks that were being lit in an apartment complex, which I obviously do not own. And the last thing is that the Ontario Police Department did not go after people who were on site and who were lighting the fireworks and decided to run. He decided to follow my group of friends and I. In the citation, the officer actually states the subject saw the OPD and walked inside the apartment. We walked because we were only being spectators. I encourage you to review of body cams to inspect whether the fireworks were being said by me, which were not. I am confident that the footage of the body cams will only coincide with my testimony of being a spectator. Most importantly, I demand that you inspect your process in which
1
fireworks
minute
citations are
remaining.
given, starting with the police department, in which they should have a clear evidence that a person was in possession or the residential property in order to get a citation, following with the fire department, in which citation appeals, when I spoke to the clerk, who was super helpful, also mentioned to me before I submitted my appeal that no matter what evidence I submitted, the appeal was going to be denied. And the city's lack of consideration of billing to folks who have submitted appeals, and this sum of economic distress caused by COVID-19, and invalid citation is detrimental to my family and myself. I do not have $1,000 to pay for an administrative citation that I did not deserve. Thank you for your consideration on this request, and I'm looking forward to hearing from city officials on this matter.
All right, Madam City Clerk, do we have any more speakers that I'm not aware of?
No, Mayor, that was the last speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. So that takes us to agenda review and announcements. Mr. City Manager, do you have any updated materials?
Yes, sir. We do a couple of different things. Item number 11 and item number 12, both of which pertain to a land use application on the southwest corner of Riverside and Hamner, are being requested to be pulled from your consideration tonight and rescheduled and renoticed for public hearing. We received word from the applicant that their project manager, his wife went into labor, and he is currently in the delivery room with her. And because they could not have their team here to present to council tonight, they're asking that they pull the item and they would renotice for a public hearing at a date in the future. So of course we wish them well and speed and safety, but at this point we would ask to take number 11 and number 12 off your agenda for public hearings. There are, my understanding, a couple of, I think, 3 speakers to address these 2 items which pertain to the same proposal. So we would advise through the city clerk's office to those callers that this item related to that project at the southwest corner of Riverside Drive and Hamner is going to be pulled off of your consideration, will not be discussed by council tonight for action. Secondly, I would ask your indulgence in pulling an item off of the agenda, number 17, and moving it forward to this point where we customarily do special ceremonies. Item number 17 is the request of confirmation by the Ontario City Council for the appointment of a new police chief. And that means that our current police chief, Derek Williams, as you heard earlier, is retiring after many, many years, decades of service, faithful and loyal to the city of Ontario. But he has decided that it is time for him to hang up his spurs. And it is a very bittersweet transition, to say the least. And I have asked Derek if he would do the honors of introducing Deputy Chief Mike Lorenz, who I would be appointing as the police chief, but required the confirmation of council. But in doing so, and prior to turning the microphone over to Derek for that honor, I do have to say, even if it's embarrassing to somebody as modest and humble as Derek is, and as a leader, he truly embodies those best sentiments of the types of leaders that we aspire to be and the types of leaders we aspire to grow in this organization. That in the 16 and a half years of me being a city manager in California, hands down, Derek is the best police chief I have ever worked with. And I don't say that to make Mike Lorenz nervous, because I know Mike Lorenz, having served with Derek, has the benefit of his tutelage. And I don't think that Chief Williams would disagree with me in the least to say that he and I fully expect Mike Lorenz to take what Derek has cultivated through your vision and leadership for OPD where he found this organization, what he's done with this organization over his 20 plus years of service, and really bring forward the best traditions of Ontario policing. And so I have to say I am going to miss him immensely, but I have the benefit of being able to work with somebody that he trained if council confirms this appointment, and I look forward to working with Mike as well. So with that, I'll turn the official duties of introduction over to a colleague and comrade and friend, Chief Derek Williams. Chief.
Can we get a close-up of the chambers, or is that the only view we have? I mean, we can see Derek, I mean, my picture is real small, so maybe on a television it's different. But anyway, Derek, we do want to hear from you all the same.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. Thanks for those words. That was pretty cool. I thought you just told me that in private, but you said it in public, so that's pretty cool. So I'll be very, very short. This is about the future. This organization is moving forward. I want to thank the council and you, City Manager, for the support over the years. You guys have always been there for us. It's a great council that's been here for years. They're stable and forward-thinking. But in these last few months, trying times for law enforcement, you guys were steadfast in your support. And there were many times when I thought I'd get up here and get roasted, and you guys were supportive. And that goes along with the residents and the business owners of the City of Ontario. It's truly a great place to live, work, and play. The only time I really didn't like coming to these things was after the 4th of July, and hear that last comment, so get ready, bro. It comes every year. So 30 years. I've got almost 30 years in, and you know, in 1991, when I was hired by the city, I didn't know how to put my Sam Brown together, and now here I am standing here, the retiring chief. So that speaks a lot. That speaks more about the organization in which we work than who I am or what I've done. So it's truly a good feeling to be standing here today. I've had many great partners along the way. I've had many mentors. There's several old chiefs in here. I didn't want to use old, but there's several chiefs in here. And I've been mentored and guided and pushed over the years, and it's paid off. And that says what we do at Ontario Police Department. We succession plan, we mentor, and we've got a great bunch of people that are going to be there. But my true partner is the woman that stood behind me when I said I want to be a cop. She made my lunch in the academy. The shift work that I did, she was always there. Because I did work graveyard, Mike. I worked graveyard. She was there. The only time she really wasn't there was when the phone rang. She kicked me to get out of the bed, but you know, I had to go to work and she went to sleep. But I'm truly standing here today because of you, sweetie. So my wife Shalisa is the reason I'm here. So thank you, honey. You're stuck with me now, full time. It's gonna be fun, right? Or I'll get another job. Anyway, so I preach family. You know, we work a lot of hours at the police department. We work hard. And every family, there's time to grow up and get your own wings. And, you know, Mike has been there over the years, and we've had a great working relationship over the years. But really, the last 3, we've had a kind of a love-hate relationship, and we got together. And Mike is the guy that I chose to be the deputy chief. He made my job very easy. He's eager. In his bio, he says he doesn't like to sit around. He wants to do things. So that's what you guys are going to get in a future leader. He came to Ontario PD in 1998. Like all new cops, worked patrol, did FTO stuff. Then he found his forte, like many of us in here, with the gangs and narcotics, and did that for a few years. Did a great job, got promoted. Then, you know, went to the Met team, and that's why that's a great group of young men and women in there that keep the crime rate low for us here in the city. He got promoted throughout the ranks. I won't talk about all your assignments and all that stuff because you didn't work patrol, you did all the assignments, but great leadership abilities. He's got his bachelor's degree. He went to ELI, so he's got all that, the learning modaines down. So he's going to be great for you guys. And, you know, over the years, when you work with someone, they say a lot of things over and over. And I've got like movie quotes and one-liners that Mike always kicks me on. But the last one I'm gonna leave you with, bro, the last one is from the movie Help. So, Mike, use kind, use smart, and you've got a great organization. You got great men and women down there at 2500 South Archibald. So you guys will take this organization to another level. So come on up here and give me a hug, baby. Wait, he's trying to be taller than me. Let me do it again. Get off your tiptoes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm supposed to.
I don't know these things. I'm retired.
Well, I thought we were going to hear from Mike at this point, but
I would suggest to you, Mr. Mayor,
yeah,
notwithstanding, that perhaps now is a good time for the council to consider the question before you.
That's right. Actually, when I see them taking the pictures, I was thinking about that. I said, have we made the decision yet?
No, you have not.
That's why I wasn't speaking.
Let's go ahead and I'll entertain a discussion by the council at this time.
I'll make a motion that we select our new police chief, Mike Lorenz.
I do second.
Okay, so let's have a voice vote.
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada,
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
This motion carries unanimously.
If they'd like anyway, about now our former chief, Chief Williams. And so I'll let anybody start before me so that I don't just talk on forever.
Go
So,
ahead, Jim.
Debbie?
Jim
Yeah.
Bowman here. I just really want to thank Derek for his leadership, dedication, commitment. Very special man with a very special group, and you'll certainly be missed by all. And congratulations, enjoy your retirement, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Jim. Debbie?
Oh, Derek, I'm sorry that we had to send you off this way. COVID really sort of makes this whole thing not too cool. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for everything you've done. I've appreciated the help that you've given me, and wish you much luck with your wife and your retirement. And can you guys hopefully get to do lots of good things together. So congratulations.
Next?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, I had the privilege of working with Derek when he was just a kid in the police department. And Derek, the first thing I want to say is I really commend you on the fact that you can still wear the same uniform today that you did when you graduated the academy. So good for you, Derek. I know that. You know, like any other organization, the city and the police department change with the times. And we've always been fortunate enough to select police chiefs that are at the right place at the right time. And that certainly worked well with Derek. He fit right in. He continued the momentum that was set prior. The city of Ontario has a long-standing history of always promoting from within and bringing our chief in from within. So I'm really happy to see that Mike is coming in. But Derek, you've had a huge impact on the city, a huge impact on your department. Certainly when we talk to the guys on the street and the gals on the street, they're all extremely loyal, supportive of you. You have the confidence of the department. We're all sorry to see you leave, but we also recognize your commitment to your family, and we certainly understand you wanting to spend more time with them. So Derek, thanks so much for all the service to the city of Ontario.
Ruben.
Yes. Hey, Derek. I just want to tell you, just like my colleagues,
thank you for your years of service. 30 years is like dog years in law enforcement. With all the changing things that are happening in our world, I know that you go home and you can't turn it off. You take it with you. The good thing is that your wife is also in law enforcement, so at least she understands a lot of times where you're coming from. But with that being said, we really appreciate you. But you know what? This is well-deserved. After 30 years, you deserve to spend some quality time with the family, and we really appreciate you having a great succession plan and getting our next leader in line. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
And just coming up last, Derek, I'd like to say how much I appreciated that you embodied what policing is today, especially in this embattled country that we're living in, and the way that there's just been this attitude about police officers that I think is certainly undeserved and unfounded. I know that you have been absolutely the poster child of the kind of police chief that would be loved and endeared in every city across this nation. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I met with you and recently in one of our local leaders, you remember, and I know that you impressed him because you said that it was important that our police officers like people. And that is where it all begins, is if you like people, then you respect people and you treat them in a certain way. And that comes from the top down. You can't just demand that. You have to demonstrate it. And you've done a spectacular job of demonstrating what good policing is. And it has matriculated down to the rest of our staff, the rest of our police department and the rest of our staff too. I think that the kind of leadership that is emulated is demonstrated by you 100%. And I take this loss, I take it hard. I mean, certainly Chief Lorenz is going to be spectacular too. I think as Alan mentioned, we've had a good history of moving from where we were in the 90s to today. I know that my first chief when I came in 98 to the city council was Boyd Scharf, and he's a great guy in his day, and you are a great guy in this day, Chief Williams, and I'm going to miss you. Our city's going to miss you. I know that our department is going to miss you, but you've left an imprint that won't go away. And you've left a good department in the hands of our next Chief Lawrence. So thank you for your service to this community and to this city. And I'm going to say something that people won't say often. We love you. And we absolutely are emotional in saying goodbye. Thank you. Well, get out your Kleenexes. And the next thing that we would do right now is to welcome our new chief. Chief Lorenz, why don't you come up to the podium? It's your turn.
Thank you, Mayor Leon. First, I'd like to say that would have been really awkward if you guys didn't vote yes, so thank you very much. Mr. Mayor and Councilman Bowman and Wapner, I first want to start with you. You've been serving the City Council since I've been a law enforcement officer here in Ontario. Your vision, your leadership, and your commitment to this city as well as the community is very admirable. To Councilwoman Parada, as a first responder, you understand what we deal with, and you understand with what happens now and what the officers deal with, what first responders deal with, and you've always been there to support the police department. I thank you for that. Councilman Valencia, your service with the LA County Sheriff's Department is admirable. To your two officers, I pray for them, and I thank you for your leadership in the city as well. To City Clerk Motz, I can't thank you enough for all your support and everything you do. It means a lot, and I look forward to working with you. To City Manager Ochoa, your appointment means everything to me. Your leadership and the vision you have for this city and the citizens of Ontario, and to get us through this pandemic in a fiscally responsible manner. I'm very much looking forward to working with you. I want to make a few introductions. I first want to start off by introducing, we've heard that there's going to be a lot of people retiring. Well, there's some very important people that are going to help the Ontario Police Department in this next chapter. I would like to introduce Administrative Director Liz Zasueta. You get to stand. Captain Jason Langford. Captain Paul Burdnick. And Captain Rudy Lopez. I'm very much looking forward to working with these superstars. They are very motivated and determined to take Ontario PD to the next level. I'd also like to introduce some very distinguished guests. Retired Ontario Police Department Chief Lowell Stark. Ontario Police Department Retired Chief Lloyd Scharf. Retired Chief Eric Hopley. And Retired Chief Brad Kaler. It's the leadership and the direction that you've given this police department, that you all have given this police department, makes me very honored to be a part of the Ontario Police Department chiefs. I'd also like to thank all of the police chiefs that are here from this county as well as Riverside County. Thank you very much for attending. I would like to introduce also Sheriff John McMahon. And District Attorney Jason Anderson. I'm excited to collaborate with you all and to continue on in an awesome legacy of Ontario police chiefs working with great leaders from the community. I'd very much like to thank the men and women of the Ontario Police Department. I truthfully believe that they are the finest law enforcement officers that there are. Day in and day out, they answer the call to serve, protect, and to partner with our citizens. They partner with our business owners and visitors to this great city to ensure that their time here is safe. They work tirelessly to keep the criminal element away so they could live, work, play, and shop in peace for our citizens. Some of the accomplishments they have, it's very important that you understand what our law enforcement officers are doing out there day in and day out. Numerous life-saving awards. They apply tourniquets to injuries that have saved lives. Numerous times they've used CPR, saved victims trapped in burning buildings and burning vehicles. And when we get those unfortunate calls when people want to try to take their lives, the officers are able to de-escalate the situation to save a life that didn't feel like it needed to be saved. We have school resource officers who go out there and take a report of stolen band equipment, and then they feel terrible for the kids, so they go out and they create a fundraiser to raise the funds to buy more band equipment. And then they go above and beyond and arrest the suspects who took the band equipment, so then they get new band equipment and old band equipment back. They do fundraisers. They go to a run called Baker to Vegas, and with all the funds that they raise, they decide to give back to our local high school students in scholarships for the track runners. They shop with a cop. They allow kids to shop with a cop so they make sure that children in time of need have Christmas gifts. They stuff a bus. They buy new desks and school supplies for children who during COVID could not study at home because they didn't have a desk. They work through a pandemic. It's easy for a police officer to put themselves in peril, But when the police officer is willing to go into a pandemic and unfortunately take that potential sickness back to their home, that is very admirable that they're still willing to go out day in and day out to do their job. Or when our officers in a crowded supermarket, when there was a call of a man with a gun and they put their lives in harm's way because they wanted to save the patrons that were in there shopping. We have several officers who go out of the way and do this day in and day out. We also have a humanitarian component where we have taken several people who are living on the streets and reunited them with their families or given them treatment to get off of controlled substances. I highlight these officers because these are the officers I'm blessed to get to lead, and I'm so thankful that I get to work with them day in and day out. I look forward to working with Chief Geik and all of the Ontario Fire Department in having one of the best public safety units around. To work with the city agency heads and work in collaboration with them for the common goal of providing the best public service to our citizens. I also want to thank the citizens of Ontario. During these times, your continued support and appreciation for our officers and what you do by bringing food, doing drive-through thank yous, and everything else that you do, it means a lot. And during these trying times, you have stood by us. We will partner with you to keep our community safe. I especially want to thank Chief Williams. During these times, he says a love-hate relationship. I don't get that. I just loved him. I don't know where the hate came from.
I know you get tired of it.
Whew, that one hurt a little. Chief Williams has been a true mentor. He's been an amazing leader, as everyone has talked about, and he's been a very dear friend. There is one thing that will not change, and Chief Williams said this, and I paid very much attention to it when he was sworn in. He said, we will do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons, and we will continue to do that. And to my family, my son Cole, who's here, he also is in public service. He's a lineman. I couldn't be more proud of you, son. He gave me 2 great grandchildren with an amazing wife. My son Austin, who couldn't be here, very proud of you. He's pre-med, and I think that's pretty incredible. To my mother and to my family, thank you much for being here. It means the world to me. And to my wife, when we go through the evenings, when the phone rings, you go through all those emotions with me. You're always praying for the officers and for our family, and I couldn't thank you enough for being by my side. Thank you very much.
So, Madam City Clerk, that is your position to swear in our new chief.
Absolutely.
This time, but also, I think his wife is going to come up and
Absolutely.
pin on his badge. Is that correct? I wish I was better at this, and so I would know how to be able to get a full screen on this. But anyway. That's where we are.
Derek could get up there and narrate, then maybe the mic would turn on and make the screen bigger.
She may stay with you if you would like to stand next to him.
Back at the mic. Back at the mic.
This is my honor. Do you, Michael B. Lorenz, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely, with no mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Well, I think that in order for us to properly thank everybody who is here to support our exiting chief and our new chief. And in order for us and the families and guests an opportunity to exit, we'll just take a 5-minute recess if you don't mind. And we'll see you in 5 minutes to bring the meeting back to order. 7:25.
I was thinking more like, MASH when Henry Blake dies and Radar starts crying.
That was sad too. Yes.
What is your host? Just ping everybody and go to everybody's mic to check, and we'll go back live.
City Council meeting. We have first, Mr. City Attorney, do you have something to share with us?
Thank you, I do, Mr. Mayor. It would help if I was off of mute. The government code requires that we announce a piece of information related to the action the council just took. And that is in accordance with government code section 54953, subsection C3. We need to let the public know the salary schedules or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits to a local agency executive, which the police chief is, during the open meeting in which the final action was taken. This is, as you know, a contract for the police chief. The base salary for the police chief is $20,928.27 monthly. In addition, the police chief will receive the following benefits as described in the executive management compensation and benefits profile: health, dental, vision, deferred compensation, life insurance, AD&D, short and long-term disability, with a value of $35.69 monthly as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that.
All right, that moves us on to our consent calendar. And all matters listed under consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a member of the council requests an item to be removed. We've already, we don't have any public comments to this, do we, Madam City Clerk?
No comments.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we pass the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilmember Bowman. We'll take a roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, it moves us into public hearings. We have already heard earlier in the meeting that items number 11 and 12 have been pulled from the agenda. That takes us to item number 13, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is a public hearing to consider certification of the environmental impact report, including the adoption of a mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and a statement of overriding considerations, and 2, a specific plan to establish the land use district's development standards, design guidelines, and infrastructure improvements for the project site bordered by Eucalyptus Avenue on the north, Merrill Avenue on the south, Sultana Avenue on the east, and Euclid Avenue on the west. Notice of public hearing has been given. Affidavits of compliance are on file, and we have one speaker.
Okay, so I'll open the public hearing and let the record reflect any written comments received. And at this time, I'll ask the city clerk to introduce the public speaker on hold.
Yes, Mayor, we have one person, Irene Chisholm. Go ahead, Irene, you're live at the meeting.
I know that you pulled item number 11 and 12. I just wanted to go on record that I made the effort to come to attend this meeting to comment on those 2 items, and I just want it recorded.
Irene, you're taking your time. Irene, you're taking your time from item number 13. And the thing is that we didn't pull it, the applicant pulled it. So let's get to item number 13, okay? That's all we need to do. You have 3 minutes.
They put me on for 13, but it's a mistake for putting me on for 13.
I see. Thank you very much.
I asked you to put me on for comment.
Gotcha. So you don't want to comment on item 13?
I just want it recorded that I was on record for 11 and 12, and they pulled it. That's all I need.
We have that. Thank you. Okay, so are there any other speakers to item number 13, Madam City Clerk?
No, sir.
So, okay, well then I'll entertain a discussion or we'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion or a conversation from council.
I'll make a motion that we pass item 13.
Okay, motion to approve, second by Mr. Bowman. We'll take a roll call.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
And Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item number 14, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is a resolution of necessity for the acquisition of eminent domain of fee interests in certain real properties located on Grove Avenue, Bonneview Avenue, and Main Street. Notice of public hearing has been given. Affidavits of compliance are on file, and we have no written communications.
Okay, so I'll open the public hearing and seeing that there are no written communications. There's nobody here to speak to the item at all. Nobody on the line either, Madam City Clerk?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'll close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or motion from the council.
Move the item.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Bowman, second by Valencia. Take a roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item number 15, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. This is a public hearing regarding an economic development subsidy report and operating covenant agreement between the City of Ontario and Nike Retail Services, Inc., and consideration of a resolution accepting the economic development subsidy report, approving the operating covenant and agreement, and making related findings. Notice of public hearing has been given. Affidavits of compliance are on file, and we have no written communications.
Okay, Mr. City Manager, did you prefer to have a staff presentation at this time?
Certainly we can if the council would like. The long and short of this particular matter is that we are looking at an agreement with Nike for sales tax sharing that would bring in a considerable number of permanent jobs. I believe 325 permanent jobs into the city. They would occupy a 560,000 square foot building and could generate as much as $1.5 million in general fund revenue to the city pursuant to the action before you.
All right, thank you. So I'll open the public hearing, and there are no written comments for this item, and nobody is on hold to speak to the item either, Madam City Clerk?
That is correct.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a discussion or motion from the council.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Valencia, second by Councilmember Bowman. We'll go for a roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
This motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to administrative reports and discussions and action. Madam City Clerk, item number 16.
Thank you. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Ontario approving an equipment lease purchase agreement, an escrow and account control agreement, and authorizing certain actions in connection therewithin relating to the financing of certain equipment for the city.
Okay, so at this time, and unless anyone would like a presentation from staff, I'll entertain a discussion or a motion from the council.
You know, is there something that's supposed to be read in about that we were waiting for something from their parent company or something?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that up. The project before you contemplates a lease agreement that is going to ostensibly pay for about $32 million of a $35 million project to do energy renovations in city facilities, including but not limited to the arena and the convention center. The security for that lease, because the idea here is that the city would make these investments, would realize savings, that said savings would ultimately pay that debt service with the provider, in this case Climatech, making up any difference that could arise if the savings are not realized. So this would be a net zero impact to the city. City council, city staff had looked at wanting to ensure that the surety provided by Climatech was something that was befitting the obligation that was being asked. They have provided a contractual obligation. We wanted more. They have given us an assurance, a statement of intention that they would provide that surety to us. What we as staff are asking of the council is to move this matter forward, but in your motion to approve, direct me as your city manager to not sign, not execute any financial documents until such time as the surety provided by either Climatech or its parent company, Bosch North America, provides that surety that satisfies not just my expectations, but also the city attorney, who also works for the city council, and our finance director, who is in his current role as finance director, a fiduciary looking out for the best interests of the city. Until and unless that surety is provided to the satisfaction of those groups, we could not move forward with the execution of the documents that would animate this project. So our request would be that if you are going to move this matter forward, you do so with the strict direction that I not execute any document until that surety is provided, and that surety is satisfactory to city attorney, finance director, and myself.
And thank you, Mr. Ochoa, for that briefing. I think it's good for the public to know, given all of those items be met that you mentioned, it's really a no-brainer. It's one of those deals where we allow somebody to come in and make improvements, but the savings that are created by those improvements is what they are ended up being paid with over time. And I just think it's a great opportunity for us to take advantage of, given the parameters that you put on the restrictions. I think that will be met. Certainly my highest hope is that they're met. I believe they will be met, and I think this is great for the city. I'll actually make the motion as described and as you put it forward.
Second the motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded by Mr. Bowman. So, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
This motion carries unanimously.
Okay. That moves us to staff matters. Mr. City Manager.
At the risk of talking too much in this meeting, and I apologize for my loquacious demeanor in the context of this meeting, I would only make the following observation, that in the whole discussion of transition that you're seeing among our staff as we move forward with this reorganization, that 3 people who are observing this meeting still, not just the chief who has, I'm sure, logged off a little while ago, but 3 others who are observing this meeting are going to be retiring, and this is their last regular city council meeting. That would be your assistant city manager, Mr. Al Bowling, your chief innovation officer, Mr. Elliot Ellsworth, and your economic development executive director, John Andrews, who is going to stay with us for a little bit to bring some very momentous projects forward. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of those gentlemen, Al in particular, who basically ensured that I would have a successful transition into this organization as your city manager. So while I owe a great debt of gratitude to the city council for hiring me, I owe an almost equal debt of gratitude to Al for backing me up at every turn and really being the kind of executive officer that any captain of any ship would want. And so Al, buddy, I am gonna miss you. And I thank you for all the heat that you've always taken these last 3 years. I really do appreciate it. Elliot and John as well. You guys have been amazing members of our team. And I look forward to spending some time with you after we can take all these masks off, because you guys are great guys. But thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Well, in light of that, is there anybody else who would like to take some time to address these 3 individuals?
I would like to do it personally. So just thank you to Al and Elliot and John. A long time with you guys. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll be seeing you in the next, I guess, Al, it's 8 days. I don't know how many Elliot has, but I'll try to get everybody.
Alan.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I too would prefer to do it in person, and I can certainly say that when we come back together in chambers, when we invite them back, I doubt any of them will want to come back, though. They're all retired and on their way. So I'll save my good wishes to all of them. You know, I've worked with all of them. I've been with the city for 36 years, and I remember hiring each and every one of them. They've done an incredible job. We've seen changes in the city directly attributable to the folks that work with us. So it's not only those 3, but everybody else that has contributed to our organization.
Mayor.
Yes, Jim.
I too would like to reserve the opportunity to have just a one-on-one thanks and appreciation for job well done by all 3. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I as well, just like my colleague Bowman and others, wish to thank them in person as well. Thank you.
Well, certainly all 3 of these gentlemen have been a tremendous asset to our team here in Ontario for many years, and miss all of them, as well as we just said goodbye to our chief too. Al, and I guess that the direction of this is for everybody to do mainly a private goodbye, and so get out the hankies, all of you, and have them in your offices and ready for this week. And we'll do a virtual shrimp platter. And we can't get together. Always regret those days that are, certainly where we would have a big party to say goodbye. And I always believe in launching people into their next season of life, because all of you are way too young for retirement. That really bothers me that I'm older than all of you. And you're retiring. So I know that there's more to be coming in your direction. And I wish you the best of success. You've certainly done a great job here. So thank you for all of your service to your city and us. So moving on, in council matters, we have a appointment of a new member of the museum board being recommended by Councilmember Bowman. Mr. Bowman, would you like to have a few words about this? Or the city manager, which one of you are going to give a brief bio of our new appointee?
Yeah, I think our good city managers would like to help assist us on this one.
Certainly, sure, I'd be happy to. In talking with...
the city attorney was going to do it? Is that right? Oh, I see. I saw the city attorney waving, but he's just trying to get the light on in his office. Never mind. Okay, let's go ahead, Scott. Keep on.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bowman had requested information on folks who were interested in serving on the museum board. We provided that to him. He was able to review that information. And at this point, he is looking at Ontario resident, also an artist named Jerry Weems. Mr. Weems has been involved with Ontario Museum of Art and History and Art for many years. He's participated in the museum's Open and Ontario Invitational, as well as other exhibits. In 2018, he served as guest curator for the museum's Seminole Diversity and Inclusion exhibit, one of the most well-attended exhibits in the museum's history. Since 2018, he has served on the board of directors of the Museum of Associates, and he has received his master's degree from Cal State University, LA, and he is a teacher with the Los Angeles Unified School District, instructing adults with disabilities. He is a resident, an artist, and a longtime supporter of the museum, and thus, in talking with Mr. Bowman, he was very excited to bring the name forward of Mr. Jerry Weems for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well,
We can motion that we accept that nomination? Is that how that works?
I thought Jim made the motion.
Well, I'll make that the second then.
Seconding it. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll need a roll call vote. Madam City Clerk?
Thank you. Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada?
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia?
Yes.
This motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, folks.
Okay. So that brings us up for council comments. I'll start with our Mayor Pro Tem.
The one thing that I have on my list tonight is again to remind everybody that we are going to try to move forward with the Police Museum Car Show the first weekend in November on Saturday. So we will also at that car show have a live stream for those that can do blood donations. Blood donations are in high demand right now, so anybody that'd like to come out and help with that, In-N-Out Burger. So please, if you have a car that you'd like to enter, would love to see you there.
All right, Mr. Wapner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, happy birthday to our city manager. It's so nice he spent his evening with us. Congratulations, Scott. Second of all, we've been talking a lot about a lot of changes, and there might be some mystery out in the community as to what the heck we're talking about. So this is a good opportunity to thank Mr. Ochoa and his staff for getting us through this recession that we're suffering. We're one of the few communities that's fiscally solvent. We're able to get through this crisis without any layoffs. But one tool that we did use was a golden handshake, where we were able to accommodate folks that wish to go ahead into retirement and still realize cost savings for the city without impacting level of services. And that was something that the city council insisted on, is that we're more than happy to provide this retirement incentive to our employees, realize the cost savings, but not if it meant detriment to our community. So again, Mr. Cho, I want to thank you and your staff. And of course, you've made other organizational changes to accommodate for everything that's going on. We don't miss a beat. We've been through this before. We went through the Great Recession in 2008. We're going to continue, but that explains why we have so many really, really good folks that are retiring at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bowman.
Yes, I didn't realize it was our city manager's birthday. Happy birthday.
I didn't either. How did he keep that a secret? I think he doesn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Very mean about my age, sir. I'm sorry.
We want to keep our public safety, police and fire, in our prayers. Of course, the police departments across this nation are under a tremendous amount of scrutiny. Fire, right here in Ontario, we have our firefighters all up and down the state of California, something like 22 to 23, 24 right now on strike teams fighting wildfires throughout the state of California. So we pray for their safety and safe return. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Mr. Valencia.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank staff and the public, actually, that have reached out to me about my colleagues from the LA County Sheriff Department. I thank you for your prayers. That night it was touch and go. And because I believe the prayers, both of these officers, deputies that are heroes, made it through. And they have a long road to recovery, but it's overwhelming support that they're receiving right now, lifts my heart because, with everything, all the negativity that we see going on throughout the state and throughout the United States, it's very heartfelt. Thank you to everybody out there. Also, I wanted to mention on Friday, I was able to attend at Ontario Montclair School District an amazing event and touching with our police department and our fire department. Chief Lorenz mentioned about all of the stuff that these officers do, but it's not just our officers, our firefighters as well. Both unions, they go and they do so much stuff, and it's not in either one of the organization's DNA to actually pat themselves in the back. And what they did, and they came with 30 brand new desks to give to some students that were actually learning on their kitchen tables or in their bedroom on a bed. Now they have a sense of ownership that was provided by these officers and firefighters. But that's just goes to show you what both of our homegrown organizations are all about. They go over and beyond the call of duty. So I'd really like to tell them thank you as well. Also got to, on 9/11, was able to attend with my colleague, Mr. Wapner, an event dedication at the USO. And, it wasn't too long ago that this country had, an attack. So we must never forget that we're vulnerable. So, I know way back when on 9/12, this country came together, and, I was very proud to be an American, to see everybody. It didn't matter who they were, what walk of life they came from. They would hold arms and be as one nation. I wish we could be back to that throughout this United States of America. But with that being said, I remember something being said right after. It's see something, say something. We must still be vigilant because we never know when the next 9/11 could happen. So by all means, let's stay vigilant. I don't want that to happen again on our soil. Thank you very much.
And I'll just end in kind of the same vein with yesterday at Ontario Airport. Our Mayor Pro Tem, Debbie Parada, and Councilmember Wapner, myself, and my wife were at Ontario Airport along with our police and fire units. And there's nothing that I can say about how hard it is to watch an aircraft unload a casket, a flag-covered casket, with one of our fallen soldiers coming home to be taken home, that is, and Sergeant Tyler Shelton. He was just 22 years old, from Apple Valley, was brought home, and there was a sort of a ceremony, but that's to be downplayed compared to the loss of the life of this soldier. And there were 2 soldiers that were lost in this helicopter crash. And then there were just, I don't know, hundreds. It looked like, I couldn't even count them, motorcycle riders in support with flags and everything, and the just the ceremony and the USO taking care of the family. I met the family. It was very hard to say anything. There's not much comforting in the loss of life other than sorry for your loss, and we are here with you. But the city of Ontario, we do a lot to make sure that people are taken care of, and even in light of tragedy like this. And sometimes we don't necessarily recognize that, the work that goes into that with our police and fire and our airport personnel. And they just come out and they do a spectacular job. And amongst the other things in this country that are going on right now, the outpouring of love that we saw there is something you just know is what America is all about. Not this division, not this craziness that we see. And always watch the headlines. I'm going to tell you, I read headlines and they don't reflect the story. Make sure you don't read headlines, read the story, because even the headlines on this story weren't complete. So with all of that, I would just like to say, do you have anything to add, Mr. City Manager?
No, sir. No, thank you.
We appreciate your interest if you're watching, and we thank you for participating in our meeting by television, live stream on the web, or by calling in. Our next regular scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, October 6th. And I do encourage you to pray for our city, our county, our state, and our nation. This meeting is adjourned.